And welcome to the September 9, 2021 Town of Hempstead Board meeting. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Supervisor Clayton.
Here.
Councilman Blakeman.
Here.
Councilman Carini.
Here.
Councilman Diaz.
Here.
Councilman Dunn.
Here.
Senior Councilwoman Boosby. Here. Councilman Muscarella.
Here. I'm now going to ask Councilman Blakeman to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand if you're able and join with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If everybody would remain standing for a moment of silence, first off for all the victims of the terrorist attacks 20 years ago, this Saturday, and for anybody that's here, please join us this Saturday morning for our remembrance service down at Toy Lookout. We would appreciate it. Also, for one of our own family members here, John Fioraventi, who is referred to really as Jack, as anybody knew him in public safety, unfortunately passed away. He was a really beloved guy, a great co-worker, and just an all-around good person. And lastly, for Dorothy Morgan, who was identified this week, a resident right here of Hempstead. She was identified as the 1,646th victim of 9/11. So if we can have a moment of silence for all of them. Thank you all. God bless America. Madam Clerk, if you please call the first hearing.
Supervisor.
Oh, I'm sorry. My town, what was that?
Right here.
Oh, Town Attorney, join us up.
Supervisor, if before the clerk calls the first hearing, hearings number 11, 12, 13, and 14, we had a request for a further analysis and study before we proceed.
Okay.
And I believe that there was going to be a motion was requested to adjourn without date.
Should we take that out of order or go through the order? Town Attorney?
I beg your pardon?
Should we take that out of order now or do that in the...
Yes, that way anybody who came for that purpose would have to wait.
Okay. Can I have a motion then?
Sure, I move that items 11 through 14 on the calendar be adjourned without date.
Supervisor Clayton.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Boosby. Councilman Muscarella.
Aye. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Town Attorney. Madam Clerk, please call the first, really the next public hearing.
We have a petition of the Commissioner of Buildings to demolish and remove the two-story split-level wood frame, one-family dwelling with attached two-car garage, and to remove all litter and debris from the property located in Baldwin.
Commissioner here? Or Deputy? Yes. You come up in case we have any questions. All right, any member of the board wish to be heard on this matter? Okay. Does anyone here at Town Hall who wishes to be heard on this item like to be heard on this item? Okay. And since there are no speakers, I don't have any signing sheets for this item. May I please have a motion?
Supervisor, I move that the public hearing be closed and the petition be granted.
Second.
Supervisor Clayton.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Boosby. Councilman Muscarella.
Aye. Okay, you did such an outstanding job on that one. We're going to actually hang out there as well. Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have a petition of the Commissioner of Buildings to demolish and remove the two-story wood frame one-family dwelling with attached garage and to remove all litter and debris from a property located in Oceanside.
Okay. Does any member of the board wish to be heard on this? Okay. I do have somebody that signed in. I have Mrs. Treader.
Yes.
Mrs. Treader, the public comment section is right there in the back. If you could please join us back there. When you get there, if you just give your name and address for the record, we appreciate it.
Hello.
Hi.
Good morning.
Name and address for the record.
Christina and Stephen Shredder, 536 Derby Drive South, Oceanside, New York, 11572. We are here to, hopefully we can remove and demolish this property. It's a very hazardous to our health. It's full of mold. It's been like this for the past 4 years. The owner has done zero. And we're just hoping it can get demolished. It's an eyesore that we have to go and see every day. I go out in my yard, all I do is look, it's full of lately, everything has been, the town, I guess, has come and cleaned up the weeds, but there's all kinds of animals and possums and raccoons and everything there. And the thing is, before this house was even lifted, this house was in foreclosure, and they still got the money to lift it. Supposedly, I don't know what these people did with the money. And then it just really, aggravating us as neighbors, that, why does this house get lifted if this property was in foreclosure beforehand? They should have never been able to be given that money. And I believe it was October 1st, about 4 years ago, when the house went into foreclosure.
Well, this is
in the newspaper.
This is our deputy from the building department. He's going to identify himself, say have his name, and then he's going to tell you what the purpose of the petition is today.
Daniel Leo, Deputy Commissioner, Building Department. Basically, what we do have is one of our engineers to go out there and deem the property unfit and it's suitable for removal. So it is in the process, and we do plan on removing the building.
Okay, and I mean, like, any time frame to be, should we expect a frame on that?
Bless you.
We're looking at,
After approval, we'll have to do an asbestos abatement, to see how much asbestos is in the house to abate. And after we get that report back, we can move forward and see how much it is, and then.
we're within 30 days, I would say, it's safe to say.
Well, if you'd like, we can have Mr. Lear take your name and address and kind of, when they get the details of it, keep you in the loop so you're familiar with the timetable.
Yeah, that would be great.
That's no problem.
I haven't been in a loop at all.
No, that's no problem at all. So maybe you know what? Who was that just jumped up there in the back? Oh, okay, Madison. Councilman Diaz-Pazito's staff, Matt Pacione, is going to meet you in the back and get your name and address so they can, contact you and keep you in the timetable and everything going on.
Okay, great. Thank you for having me.
Matt, just raise your hand so they can.
That's Matt.
Okay.
You're good?
Yeah. All right.
Thank you very much for coming today.
Thank you.
I don't have any other slips on number 2. Is anybody in the public here that wish to heard of number 2? Okay, if no, may I please have a motion?
Supervisor, I move that the public hearing be closed and the petition be granted.
Second.
Supervisor Plato.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Pazito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn. Senior Councilwoman Guzzi. Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
You are doing such a great job. We're still going to ask you not to leave this podium right there. Madam Clerk, would you please call the next item?
We have a petition of the Commissioner of Buildings to demolish and remove a one-story wood frame storage barn and to remove all litter and debris from a property in Uniondale.
Okay, does any member of the board wish to be heard on this item? I do not have any slips. Does any member of the public here today wish to be heard on item number 3? Okay, if not, may I please have a motion?
I move that the petition be granted.
Second.
Supervisor Clayton.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Pazito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Guzzi.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye. And though you did do an outstanding job, I am going to ask you to have a seat for the next one, all right? But don't go anywhere. Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have a proposed local law regarding regulations and restrictions to limit parking in Uniondale and West Hempstead.
Okay, does any member of the board wish to be heard on this? Okay. I do not have any slips. Does any member of the public here today wish to be heard on this? Okay, great. If you can go on over to the public comment mic over there and give your name and address to the record, that'd be awesome.
Yes, Pro Davis Uniondale. I'm just asking for clarification regarding the material stock. Where, what, in Uniondale.
Okay. If you could identify yourself for Ms. Jacobs,
Yes, I'm Lee, representing Crowd Control Division. The items on this agenda is for 2 locations in Uniondale. One is Green Grove Avenue, and the other is Lowell Road.
Okay, so what are you going to do? You're going to put more parking or standing?
Okay, but the first one is for Green Grove Avenue. We have to open up the restrictions that's there for the church, and the church requested that we put up a no parking anytime in front of the church to help the congregants have easier access for parking. They're allowed to pick up and drop off parishioners with this new restriction in front of the church.
Thank you.
okay, thank you. Any other member of the public here today wish to be heard on this item? Okay, may I please have a motion?
I move that the petition be granted.
Second.
Supervisor Clayton.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Boothby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Gary, you did such a nice job. I'm going to actually hang out there for a minute too as we call the next item.
We have a proposed local law regarding parking or standing prohibitions in Baldwin, East Meadow, Levittown, Merrick, Wantagh, Uniondale, West Hempstead, and Woodmere.
Okay, does any member of the board wish to be heard on this? All right, I do not have any slips. Does any member of the public wish to be heard on this item? All right, if not, may I please have a motion?
Close the hearing and adopt the item.
Second.
Supervisor Clayton.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Greenie.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Boothby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye. All right, Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
Proposed local law regarding arterial stops in Elmwood, Franklin Square, Lawrence, Levittown, North Baldwin, Roosevelt, Seaford, Uniondale, and Wantagh.
Okay, I do not see any slips on this item. Does any member of the board wish to be heard on this? I see some residents want to ask a question. Any residents that are
I just have a question.
Okay, can you just go over the mic on the other side and identify yourself?
I just want to know what an arterial stop is.
Arterial stop is.
Yes, the arterial stops are recommendations to have stop signs installed at certain locations.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay, any other members of the public wish to be heard on this? If not, can I please have a motion?
I move that the public hearing be closed and the local law adopted.
Second.
Supervisor Clayton.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Boothby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye. Did you vote? Did Tommy respond? Tommy, did you respond?
Councilman Muscarella.
Councilman Muscarella? Okay, just want to make sure. All right. Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have the proposed local law regarding prohibition of left turns in Merrick.
I do not have any slips on this. Does any board member wish to be heard on this?
I move the public hearing be
What?
closed.
Oh, hold on, nothing. Everybody's off today. All right. Any member of the public wish to be heard on this? May I please have a motion?
I move the public hearing be closed, the item adopted. Second.
Supervisor Clayton.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Boothby. Councilman Muscarella.
Yes. Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have a proposed local law regarding school speed limits in East Meadow.
Okay, I do not have any slips on this, but first let me ask the board members if they have any comment or questions. All right.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that the superintendent reached out to my office. We had the third precinct involved, the principal. We all thought that this was a great idea. I'm very happy to see it on the agenda today.
Excellent. Any other board members? Any members of the public here today wish to be heard on this one? Okay, if not, may I please have a motion?
Make a motion that we close the hearing and adopt the item.
Second.
Supervisor Clayton.
Yes.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Boothby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye. Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have a proposed handicap parking on public streets in Atlantic Beach, East Atlantic Beach, Bethpage, East Rockaway, Elmwood, Franklin Square, Levittown, Merrick, Uniondale, and West Hempstead.
Okay, first up, does any member of the board wish to be heard on this? All right. I do not have any slips on this. Does any member of the public wish to be heard on this that's here today? Okay, we're running along here. I have a motion, please.
Supervisor, I move that the public hearing be closed and the item adopted.
Second.
Supervisor Clayton.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Boothby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye. Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have a proposed local law regarding gross weight restrictions in Merrick.
Okay, does any member of the board wish to be heard on this? Okay, I do not have any slips. Does anybody here in attendance wish to be heard on this item? Okay, if not, may I please have a motion?
I move the public hearing be closed, the board adopt the item.
Second.
Supervisor Clayton.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Boothby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye. Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
We have a resolution to authorize the conveyance of a vacant commercial property, parcel of land, located at 301 to 303 Nassau Road in Roosevelt.
Any member of the board wish to be heard on this? Okay. I have a couple of slips. I see John Moss. Good morning. If you name and address for the record.
Good morning. John K. Moss, PC, attorney for the Department of Planning, 100 Garden City Plaza, Suite 203, Garden City, New York. We're here today to support adopting a contract of sale for a piece of property known as 301-303 Nassau Road. The Department of Planning had put out a request for proposals. We got a response, and the response included, and the contract includes the following community development aims. Creating new employment opportunities, potentially 25 to 40 new jobs, provide new and expanded local services to residents, add to the aesthetics of the community, and alleviate traffic congestion. We've had a number of community meetings. Ms. Goosby was kind enough to invite us to speak with the community. One of the meetings, it was suggested some sort of urgent care, and that's something that I believe the developers have tried to move forward on. The proposal is for a medical mixed-use office-type building, so obviously creation of jobs is a big thing. If there is a emergency or a urgent care approved tenant, then obviously that's a service for the community that would benefit them. Any monies that are made from the sale of the property are going to be reinvested in the community as part of the community block grant fund program income. Practically speaking, the parcel's been off the tax rolls for quite some time. We're going to put it back on the tax rolls. We're hopefully going to be creating new jobs in the community and provide services to the community that are not otherwise addressed. We believe, and I think from the community meetings, it was also echoed that this development would assist the community and certainly is part of the overall community development plan that the Department of Planning has moved forward with in the Roosevelt community. I'm here to answer any questions if you have with regard to the particulars.
Thanks.
I'd like to say that we did have a meeting with the community, and they were very much in favor of this. And I'm sure that the person who's purchasing it realizes that he has to keep up with all the promises that we had him make.
Yes, in fact, we do have some provisions in the contract which will survive closing, and also some restrictions in the deed. One of the provisions is also that the town will be permitted to approve the first tenants to the property. So we have some control over that.
Great. Oh, well done. Thank you.
And the community was in favor. That was one of the conditions that they wanted.
Great.
So that's wonderful.
Any other board member have any questions? Okay. I don't have any other slips. Does any member of the public wish to be heard on this? Okay. If not, then may I please have a motion?
I move that we close and make sure that we convey this property to the owner or the person who bid it for it, and also in favor of all of the constituents in Roosevelt.
Second.
Supervisor Clayman.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Guarini.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Padrón.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Mazzarella.
Aye.
Thank you, Ms. Ross, and thank you for building in those covenants too. We appreciate that. I know the senior councilwoman's excited about that. Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the next item, which is an application.
Yes, the last public hearing is the application of Global Montello Group Corp. to include an existing gasoline service station within the GSS district to install storage tanks in Elmwood.
I think I recognize the applicant's attorney, so I'll ask him to identify himself though for the record. If you could.
Hello? Okay, there we go. Just want to make sure that it's working. Okay. Good morning, Supervisor Clayton, honorable members of the town board, Senior Councilwoman Gooseby, Madam Clerk, Kevin O'Brien from O'Brien Law PC, 462 Sagamore Avenue in East Williston, New York. Here this morning representing the applicants. I also have here with me this morning Mr. Eric Mine. He is a licensed professional engineer from Bowler Engineering. That is Bowler as in Bohler Engineering. They're the design professionals who have prepared the plans which are before the board, and I can see that they are on the screens. I was going to hand up some 11.5 by 17s, but it looks like it's not necessary because you're technologically proficient. So we have everything there, and I believe everything we have on the 11.5 by 17s have been submitted to the board. This is an application. So let me put these away because I'm not going to read them. So as noted by the town clerk, this is an application by Golden Montello Group. It involves the existing gasoline service station at 1641 Hempstead Turnpike in Elmwood. The property is actually owned by Getty. They've consented to the application, and it's leased to us as a global service station. The application itself is for inclusion into the GSS zoning district, as well as to really make substantial improvements to this particular location, to operate a convenience store, to operate self-service over there. And I did notice there were some, we had requested to modify certain covenants and restrictions, which were part of a prior approval involving this particular service station. So if you can indulge me just for a moment, I just want to go back into a little bit of the history of this site. As noted, this is 1641 Hempstead Turnpike, which is on the south side of Hempstead Turnpike, and it is located, we're fronted by by three streets. Hempstead Turnpike, which would be the south side of Hempstead Turnpike. We have Jacobs, and we have Stone. So we're bordered by three sides. It's an existing gasoline service station, which as far as the records that I had looked up through the county and through the town, looks like it's been operating since in or about the early 1950s. Like any service station, what happens is you have changes that come along the way, removal and replacement of underground storage tanks. The last sort of substantial change that was made to this service station was in or about 1972, where it was kind of put into its current configuration. And if you look at the sort of current improvements at the location, you have 3 pump islands, you have a kiosk underneath a canopy which is over those 3 pump islands, and then you have sort of this utility building store towards the back of it. That was done in approximately 1972, and I did note that there was, as part of that approval, it was approved pursuant to a particular site plan at that time. That site plan was part of restrictive covenants, which we seek to modify, because what we're proposing at this time is a complete raise and rebuild. I mean, the area is such that it is bounded by commercial mostly, but to the rear of us, if you look at the overhead, you see the residents behind us. Across the street, we've got the Home Depot shopping center. You have a number of quick serve restaurants, another service station in the area. So you've got mixed commercial on, New York 24, Hempstead Turnpike, a major thoroughfare going east and west. So what we're proposing is to a complete, like I said, complete upgrade, complete raise and rebuild. And on one hand, you would say from the ground up, but it's actually from the underground up. So what we're proposing to do is remove all the underground tanks, all the underground piping, install a 20,000 gallon underground double wall fiberglass regular tank, a 15,000 gallon compartmentalized tank, all new piping, all in accordance with Nassau County Health Department requirements, the Nassau County Fire Marshal, the state DOC, state DEC, not DOC, DEC, as well as the federal requirements. So everything underground would be fully compliant, as well as everything above ground. So when we're saying we're raising and rebuilding, underground up, and then what would be proposed is to eliminate everything that's there currently. And as you can see, it's dated, it's well dated. I mean, some of those service stations that were built in the early 70s, they kind of had a life expectancy that this service station has gone well beyond. So we're putting in the new underground gasoline storage tanks. We're putting in 4 pump islands, which would have 1 multi-product dispenser per island. I don't know if we can shift the electronic screen. Is there the ability at all to change that? Maybe not.
What do you want to
Oh, which, I wanted to show the site plan, if we could show the site plan, which would reflect, you can kind of point out where the pump islands are going to be, and let's see. Yeah.
They're on the right-hand side?
Yeah, okay. So what you can see from that would be, I guess it would completely eliminating all structures, so everything would be brand new, the latest and greatest. We have the building, which is sort of that shaded area, which would be a sales transaction area and convenience store. And on the towards the right-hand side, a little hard to see, but there are 4 pump islands. Each would have 1 multi-product dispenser and a canopy over it. On Hempstead Turnpike itself, our engineers have met with the DOT, and they've eliminated one of the curb cuts on the one actually closest to the intersection on Hempstead Turnpike, and so there'll only be 1 curb cut on Hempstead Turnpike. Maybe if you could switch over to another plan which would reflect the elevational drawings to show what the building itself would look like. Let's see. Now switch it to another one. No, that's there it is. No. What I can do is I do have 11.5 by 17. I thought it was. Oh, there it is. Okay, and that would reflect what. So this would reflect what this is the elevational drawing showing what the front and the back of the building itself would look like. Obviously, a substantial upgrade to what we currently have now. So this would bring this into the 21st century as far as service stations go, and it's also sort of part of the keeping up with the Joneses of the service station industry. As you see, as this board has seen, a number of upgrades to the service stations throughout the township, and some of the companies have really done a fantastic job in their elevational drawings, their architectural elements, as well as their landscaping. So we intend to do the same thing here. So that's really the sum and substance of the nature of the improvements. And like I said, the application itself involves, in as much as it's business owned, to be included into the GSS to modify those conditions that were imposed in 1972. And really, those conditions just, approve the certain site plan that this board approved back in 1972. And we just missed the GSS at that point because I don't think it was adopted yet. I think the GSS ordinance was adopted in or about 1974 under then presiding supervisor. I think it was the model at the time, is when it came in, but we were 2 years. So while the improvements as they currently stand required town board approval, they did get that at that time, but the GSS came in 74, and now we're seeking that inclusion. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that the board may have, any interested observers, or any questions you might have for my...
What it says is, one stick around, because I know the board might have a couple of questions. I know some residents here. One quick one for me is, so right now, existing, I'm looking at, there's a gas station. Is there a small mart there, or repairs being done there right now?
There are no repairs being done. There is a small mart currently on the property.
Okay, all right. But there's the repair shops 1 block to the west?
Yes.
Okay, all right. All right, any member of the board have any questions?
Yeah, a few questions. You mentioned that Getty owns the property.
That is correct.
Is this a new purchase in reference to your client?
No, they lease the property. Getty has owned it, I think, it's for quite some time. I think our client leased it relatively recently, but they don't own it. Getty still owns it.
Okay, so Sunny Gasoline predated your purchase, correct?
That is correct.
And then you signed a long-term lease?
Yes.
Now, the improvement and betterments that you're putting on there, the store, is that owned by you or by Getty?
They would be by us, by Global Montello. They would be everything. So the paving, the curbing, so it's not just a piecemeal type of thing. Everything would be brand new.
Right, so I have something here from the community in reference to Sunny Gasoline, some of the sins of the past. And some of them are the fact of the noise, the fact that it was selling illegal cigarettes, selling vehicles without licensing, and this would negate that, correct?
That's correct. And certainly any conditions that we impose, certainly to abide by all, current laws, and as well as it's not uncommon for the board to impose certain conditions, such as not selling vehicles, boats, and the like. I've seen that in the past, and we certainly consent to such impositions.
So now, you're saying this is going to be a raise and rebuild, so I'm thinking that it's a demolition and a total new construction?
Absolutely.
There was some other issues. One of them was the fact that the community was asking whether or not you could put a metal guardrail on the front fence to stop vehicles going through the fence into houses. Of the assumption that that is a state road and that you have to get permission. I guess if traffic is here, they would be able to inform us, but can you see to it that some kind of a tech devices or?
Certainly, absolutely. We can certainly explore that in the front, and if it would make the community feel better in the back. I've seen this in some instances where along the back property, I mean, if there's concern about the residents, I mean, it'd be a long way to go, quite frankly. But we're going to put fencing over there as well as landscaping. But if it would be comforting to also put a guardrail by that, I'm sure we could do that.
Yeah, if you could do some kind of fortified barrier.
Sure.
I'm 30 years in the insurance business, and I want to protect those homes and the community for that fact. The only other thing they mentioned was the fact that there were the cameras that were part of the prior owner had misdirected towards more the community and not so much towards the. I think you're going to upgrade the security and the.
Yes, yeah, we'd have security cameras inside and out. That I never heard that one before, where the cameras were misdirected, but certainly, they're all going to be removed, and B, they would be, done in such a way so as to.
And you'll be updating the air conditioning system, correct?
Be completely brand new. Everything will be brand new.
There's one only, because I'm trying to understand, the community has, I don't know what it is to live around a service center, but this comes from one of the neighbors, and there's one of the things they requested was there wouldn't be any clothing collection boxes out on the property. Apparently that was a problem there, plight.
You're 100% correct. It was recently brought to my attention. I visited several times myself. I noted that sometimes, you'll see that where they'll go on to large parcels of property. I've seen them at Home Depot sometimes he says, yes, one was there. and I directed to have it removed, and it was removed. But yes, that was a problem in the past. I found out about it, communicated with the company, they've had it removed, and certainly as a condition that there be no these donation type of things, because yes, they do have a tendency, unfortunately, I think the intention is good, but they accumulate stuff. People leave baby carriages, they leave all kinds of stuff unsightly. So that has been removed, and certainly that would be a reasonable condition that there be no of those sort of collection boxes.
Okay, last thing, I like the fact that you said you agreed with me, but I'm going to say this, I agree with you. 1972 is a long time to upgrade a gasoline station in Elmwood. I think it's long overdue. With that, I would just like to turn it over to Don.
Yeah, the fact that the model's changed from a repair shop gas station 15 years ago to more of the convenience store where people are parking in front, it's getting the gas and having, I guess my thing is, Elmont's got a real opportunity here. Along Hempstead Turnpike, I see you do have some plantings, during the curb cuts, so the aesthetics of it are much nicer than what they are right now. Is that fair to say?
Yes, absolutely correct.
Okay. All right, and I think one of my board members had a question.
Yeah, just in view of the fact that the 20-year war just ended, troops will be coming home, you plan to have an American flag flying?
Absolutely.
It's on there.
Thank you, son. Thank you.
And you're going to have underground sprinklers?
Yes, to keep the landscape.
That was one of the questions.
One suggestion I would make to the board, which is going to seem a little odd coming from me here, but we did this in another municipality, so we could always share with one another. And I always say the gasoline industry, they're pretty competitive, and they like competition. So in the town of Avalon, quite frankly, we had a competition as to who are the best looking service station. And everybody really stepped up to the plate with their landscaping and the like, and some of them do like seasonal plantings, and for Halloween they put hay bales and stuff like that. So just a suggestion.
No, I think you've seen that competition going on well. A single gas station spurred development in West Hempstead recently because that's, like I said, the model's changed, and I do appreciate that, and the neighbors appreciate that a lot. However, with that, I know we do have some neighbors here today. If you're done with your presentation, the board is done. I'd like to also get some of the neighbors and volunteer.
Absolutely.
All right. Any board members have anything else? All right. All right. I'm going to start with Marie Grundy. How are you?
I'm good.
I'm going to ask you to give your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Maria Brody. I live at 20 Jacob Street. I'm 2 houses back from the gas station, not one. My property does not border the gas station. First of all, I'd like to get a copy of the plans. We never got copies when we were notified. They didn't send plans with the site plans and stuff. I'd like to see what they're doing. I'd like to have a copy of that for my records. In the past, all of the things that I listed on the sheet that Mr. Mascarella read out were true. They seem to have a hangout for day laborers who have not gotten picked up for work. Those guys are drinking, smoking pot, playing radios, all right behind that convenience store. I don't want that process to continue. At one point, they set up a barbecue 20 feet from the gas pumps. And they were grilling hot dogs and hamburgers. And the potential to blow up the entire neighborhood was right there. And they don't care at all. And nobody chases them from that gas station. They kind of shrug their shoulders and walk away from us. Okay? The other thing is, I don't know what's going on with the pitch in that gas station. I'm hoping that when they rip out everything, that they're going to fix that, because the puddle becomes a lake in that gas station. So that's a big problem also that has to be made sure. I'm assuming that's going to be taken care of with all the new construction. Okay, and I think you kind of told everybody about everything else, but just that they have not been good neighbors. I have filed complaints since 2017. It's 4 years already. And various companies. I don't know if they're all the same company, just, DBAs, whatever. I don't know.
Well, I think they're getting really basically a new tenant at the location, and you've heard from Mr. O'Brien's presentation, they're doing a whole new construction. There's a good opportunity for you. Mr. O'Brien said, you know what, He's generally very, very good about talking to residents, getting the feedback, keeping the communication. Maybe if you can stick around, we can ask Mr. O'Brien if you can get the name and address and just keep it in the loop. I'm sure based on
It's a better company than the last two.
yeah, and I think we're all hoping. And like I said, Mr. O'Brien, has a pretty good record of communicating with residents, and that'd be a positive. And hopefully, he'll come back in a couple months and say, you know what, it's working out right. We like that.
Maria would like to be resourced over to the 5th precinct that
Okay. The other issue the other problem we had consistently over the last 4 or 5 years is parking of trucks, various trucks, dump trucks. One summer there was an RV park there with the air conditioning going.
In the gas station?
In the gas station.
And that's what I said, I think the new tenant coming in and the fact that their business model has changed from a unfriendly neighbor to more of a, we're going to have a convenience shop to a gas station. It's a good opportunity to talk to them.
The last two were exactly the same under different names, that's all.
Like I said, Mr. O'Brien, raise that hand high. Put your hand up in the air. There you go. There he is right there. You got it.
I'll meet with them afterwards.
Awesome. That's what we asked for. Thank you very, very much.
And stuff like that.
Awesome. Great. Thank you.
Okay.
All right?
All right, thank you.
I now have Linda Zorley. Linda, do you want to speak?
Basically,
If you have to give your name and address for the record, please.
Linda Zorley, 11 Stone Street, Elmwood. I'm the first house there on the block. And yes, everything that was said was pretty much on point. Yes, the cameras. I have pictures of what the fence looked like prior. I don't remember what, it must have been before 2020. We had a very, very large windstorm, which knocked the fence into my house. The fence is really, it's all eaten away and everything. It's so bad. I have not been able to let my dog out.
Well, like I said, this seems to be a total knock it down, dig it up, from scratch, and that's a nice part. And again, with Mr. O'Brien, you can give him some input. And by the way, he can tell you, maybe that lousy fence that's, knowing you is going to be gone, maybe there's a new fence going in there that you can have some hope of what it's going to look like.
Because that's been for the past 2 years, since 2020, and, go ahead.
I got you.
Basically.
Well, you can hang out with Mr. O'Brien as well, right after the hearing to exchange info.
Here's one more question.
He said that they were going to eliminate one of the curb cuts on Hempstead Turnpike, okay, and use one curb cut only. Does that mean the ensuing traffic goes out on the side streets instead?
Okay, we'll let Mr. O'Brien come on up and answer that question. Fair enough?
Yes.
Okay.
Because we both live on side.
Yeah, no, I got you. Well, let Mr. O'Brien, if you can answer their concern, that would be great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor, and thank you for coming down, sharing your comments. Yes, I'm going to meet with them afterwards. I've got extra plans and stuff which I can get. I'm sorry, I forgot the first woman's name. Maria. She's correct in the sense that I've been there on several occasions, and particularly with the rains that we've been having. There are catch basins and stuff, but they're failing, quite frankly. So what happens is you do get this pond. So what's going to happen is, like I said, complete rebuild from the ground, from the underground up. So those catch basins are all going to be removed, all new. In accordance with the town's requirements, you're going to have a lot more catch basins and the like to sit there and correct that situation. With respect to the curb cut, since it's a state roadway, our engineers have gone to the DOT. So there is going to be a lot of times the state likes to eliminate curb cuts closest to the intersections. It's just one of those traffic type of things. So we acceded to their wishes. In that sense, you have access and egress. So you will still have both access, and what they'll usually do is put a larger curb cut in, so you can have ingress and egress onto Hempstead Turnpike. Occasionally, and I'm just going to throw, it's certainly up to the community, and this goes both ways, but I'll meet with them and see what they say. Sometimes people don't want a right-hand turn going back out into the community, and we've done that where we can do that, put signs to say no right-hand turns, if that's what they want, or it would be in one instance, it would be no left-hand turn. On the other hand, people say, I live here and I want to be able to go and use the gas station and come back. So that's a discussion I think that we...
I was going to say, perhaps you could talk to them about saying, if they're done like that, we could direct traffic left to the left-hand side instead of go back or right. But like I said, it'd be a nice communication. They've lived with the prior tenant for a long time. I think they're excited about something better happening there, and it's just nice working with people.
Understood. As far as the fencing, we're going to have a brand new fencing that's going to go in there, but I'll meet with them right.
She'll be very upset you're not going to keep that old rowdy fence, I'm sure.
And I'll give you my card too, so we can stay in constant communication.
Oh, Maria will. Trust me, I know Maria. She will be in constant communication with you, so get ready.
I'm sorry.
Teasing you.
Yeah, there's things to say about it.
So David, I said nice. So this is the crowd, and then you guys will follow up, okay?
Yes.
Great.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to follow up.
Oh, I know. I was trying to warn her. The next I'm going to call Jean Marcelin. Hey, Jean, if you can go to the mic there, give your name and address. All right. Did you want to speak?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
Okay.
He's my neighbor, too.
He's your neighbor, too? Okay.
Absolutely Mario.
I don't have any other slips for number 16. Does any member of the public wish to be heard on this? Okay, if not, may I please have a motion?
Make a motion to do a reserve decision on this matter.
Second.
Supervisor Clayton?
Aye.
Councilman Blake?
Aye.
Councilman Carini?
Aye.
Councilman D'Esposito?
Aye.
Councilman Dunn?
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Boothby?
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella?
Aye. Mr. Brennan, we reserve decision on it so the residents know, but if you can keep us informed of any changes that may come from it.
Absolutely. I'm going to meet in the back room right now, and we'll keep you posted, and thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you very much. Okay, Madam Clerk, would you please call the administrative calendar?
Yeah, so on the administrative calendar, we have items 17 through 110.
Okay. First, does any member of the board wish to speak on any of the items on the administrative calendar? Okay, I have a couple of slips here. First, we'll start off with Bonnie Grone. Good morning. If you need me to name and address for the record, thank you.
Good morning, Bonnie Garone, Rockville Center. There are two items I'd like to speak on. One is number 93, which is the new collective bargaining agreement. And my only question is that you don't identify the individuals to whom you are extending medical, dental, and retirement benefits. And that's in the resolution, and I believe the taxpayer should know the answer to that. And that information is also required to be made public by the New York Open Meetings Law. So can you tell us who those individuals are?
Ms. Garona, the answer to your question is that they are full-time employees of the town of Hempstead who currently receive health insurance, dental benefits, and participate in the New York State pension system. We don't identify them by name, but they are non-union members or in some other way exempt from the collective bargaining agreement. So it's really the workforce members of the town of Hempstead. They don't receive more, they don't receive less than what the union members are getting, and they receive, in effect, a continuation of what they're currently getting under the current collective bargaining agreement. It's merely an extension of benefits for health and dental purposes to full-time employees of the town of Hempstead that are not union members.
Okay, that's not really who I was asking about. I want to know who, in addition, if any, is covered by this, because on the resolution it says, first of all, the members of the Board of Zoning Appeals, who are not full-time employees of the town of Hempstead, and those employees listed in Schedule A, and there is no Schedule A attached, And those employees designated by the town as its negotiating team, that's not identified. And its management advisory committee members, and they aren't identified. Are they all full-time employees of the town of Hempstead?
With respect to anyone identified by category or by classification, yes, you're talking about full-time employees of the town of Hempstead, again, who are as part of their employment with the town of Hempstead, as they would have with employment with perhaps a private sector employer, the right to medical and dental benefits. This is the mechanism whereby they are entitled to receive from the town of Hempstead, a municipal corporation, medical and dental benefits as well. That's all. What it does is simply state that if you work for the town of Hempstead and you are not a union member, for example, you are appointed by a member of by the town board or the town board or the Board of Zoning Appeals, which you know we didn't list the actual names of the members of the Board of Zoning Appeals, but it's public knowledge, it's a public record, it's easily identifiable as to who is a member of the Board of Zoning Appeals. Each of them is getting the benefit of health and dental benefits.
So if it's that simple, why doesn't this simply say all full-time employees of the town of Hempstead, period? Then no one has to wonder who these categories are.
Well, I believe it is rather simple and straightforward. I don't think that there really is any complexity to it. We're really talking about somebody or anybody who works for the town, but isn't covered specifically under collective bargaining, under the collective bargaining agreement.
Joe, would that be you?
Yes, that includes me.
So nobody got anything they were part. It's just covering a person like you, appointed commissioner or deputy commissioner and things like that, right?
Precisely right.
Okay. I also have some questions about item 70. This is the agreement with Pioneer Sports. Now, the town is advertising this as if it's a town activity, town function, but it appears from this resolution, and again, there is no, the agreement is not attached, which you're required to do by the Open Meetings Law, and which I actually foiled to have, at this meeting, but can someone tell me, it says that the commissioner of the department recommended retention of Pioneer Sports. In what manner was this company vetted before this recommendation?
Identify something.
Morning, everybody. Commissioner Frank Simon, Parks and Recreation. We were seeking to bring in a company to offer many different clinics that we haven't offered in the past, such as a baseball clinic, a hockey clinic, a football clinic, and it's no cost to the town of Hempstead. I think the fee that they are paying us to host their clinics at our facilities, I don't have the exact number. I think it's under $10,000. So it's a very, it's I don't have the exact number though, but basically it's just to take some pressure off us and allow us to host more activities and recreation for the public.
Well, the language here that really I found most interesting was that Pioneer has expressed a desire to do this. Have any other companies expressed a desire to do this, or did you put out an RFP or an RFQ to invite companies to do this kind of thing?
No, we didn't go out to RFP for this.
Now, how did you find them? How did Pioneer even know you were looking?
I think through connections with our recreation department, being in the field.
Connections with anyone else?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, so they're paying the town $1,600 basically for each of these 5 events. And for that, they're charging children $60 a head for a 2-hour experience. And they're getting free advertising from the town because the town is advertising it as if it's a town activity. But meanwhile, Twitter, Facebook, I don't know if there was a mailing. So the public is led to believe that this is a
Thank you, Ms. Brown, and just so you know, I'm pretty sure as a father of 3 of those kids are definitely not paying for that program. I know that I'm paying for any of the programs I get to do, and $60 is a pretty good deal compared to some of the things I get to sign up for.
I didn't understand. What did you just say?
You said the kids are paying for it. It's not the kids generally, it's the parents that are paying for the program.
Taxpayers of the town.
Thank you, Ms. Barone. Always a pleasure. Next, I have a slip from Felix Bercacci.
You really are unbelievable. And so against transparency, it's amazing.
Felix Bercacci, Franklin Square.
Morning, Mr. Bercacci.
On items number 44 and 46, the contract and fee schedules are not attached to the resolution. And, these companies that won the bid, that information should, be public according to the open meetings law. And now I have to foil it, and I know that there's always an issue because there's a lot of foils, but this information shouldn't be foiled. It should be on the town's website prior to the meeting. On the item number 90, you're going to refund bonds of 23 million. I just want to make sure you don't do what you did last year, claim savings before the refunding actually takes place, because last year we had the resolution, but you didn't refund until February. You shouldn't do that, you're misleading people.
Okay.
On the CSEA agreement, there's one item that's a kind of a little, it says 15, and then in parentheses 17%. I understand what the real meaning's supposed to be, but that should be clear. It should be 17% for the first 3 years, then it goes down to 15, but that should be written out. You should rewrite that paragraph so it really says what it means. And then finally, all those additional employees that this is extended to, this should be put as a separate resolution and not part of a CSCA agreement, because it's not. It's a separate resolution for these other employees. They're in a different category, so you should have a separate resolution to just be totally clear about it. On the federal CARES items, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, I'm guessing, because it seems to be such that those items before 100 add up to $280,000 and change, and then there's a resolution 100 that transfers money of $280,000, and it comes out to the exact same amount. So I assume that, and you correct me if I'm wrong, that those items go into the villages, then you're doing one transfer in item 100, and the thing is, in item 100, you're not saying where the money is being transferred from and to, which account numbers. Because I've done a total spreadsheet, I don't know if you saw it online, of all the resolutions that this town has passed, that state it's done with federal CARES funds. And I'm already over $134 million, and I know we only got 133.8 because I have the documentation for that. So the thing is, where are you getting the money? And there seems to be an error. I've checked the resolutions many times to make sure I didn't make a mistake. So far you've allocated more money. Now it's going to be like, I think, $134.6, $134.7 million. And you really should specify exactly where the money's coming from.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Conchi. I'll pass it along to our controller. Oh, and just so you know, I know you'll be excited to take a look. We got another bond upgrade last week from John. Who did we get a bond upgrade from?
S&P.
S&P. What did they do for us?
They raised us to AA.
Double A. Awesome. I know you're concerned about that, so I always love to share that with you. Next, I have Diane Mack. Good morning. Your name and address for the record, please.
I'm Madden Hempstead. Question about 93. Full-time employees. So is this, how do you differentiate full-time from part-time? I believe they're probably 80% of employees are part-time. Is this covering actually the part-timers?
Ms. Madden, you're referring to the resolution extending benefits to the various categories of employees. Is that what you're talking about?
Correct, 93.
Yes. In very simple terms, full-time employees are other than full-time employees are the full-time employees who work 40 hours a week on a regular basis and have obtained the status of a full-time employee entitled to full benefits and participation in the New York State retirement system. It's that simple.
Well, it's really not that simple because it seems to me that it's covering all employees, correct, including part-timers?
And the part-timers do not receive medical or dental benefits or participation in the New York State retirement system. At a certain point, if a part-time employee does become a full-time employee, they can apply to the New York State retirement system for credit for the time that they earned working as a part-timer. But it's almost a distinguishing factor between the full-time employee and the part-timer. The part-timer doesn't receive the benefits.
So what would you say that the total cost is for this agreement?
I can't give you a specific estimate as to the total cost, but I can assure you it's already been accounted for within the budget that is being proposed. So the costs for the entire town payroll, be it full-time employees, part-time employees, along with all the other items that the town routinely is required to pay for, have all been accounted for in the proposed budget as they have been in past town budgets.
Okay, is any of this money coming from the Federal CARES Act money?
And not to my knowledge, no.
Okay, and the full-time employees versus part-time, how many would you guesstimate are being covered now? Because I'm under the assumption now that part-time employees are not receiving any change of benefits, which are about 80%, I think, of the town's workforce. Are they receiving any additional benefits with this contract?
Part-time employees are not receiving medical or dental benefits or participation in the medical system. That's it.
Okay, item number 44. Again, this contract, it doesn't state the fee schedules. Do you have any idea what the fee schedules are?
Well, Ms. Madden, you're correct that the resolution doesn't state the fee schedules, but if you notice, it's a rather lengthy resolution and it was put forward for consideration by the town board, by the Department of Purchasing. This was put out to bid, and various responders bid on various aspects of the proposed bid. And they were awarded in public, where the bids were open for all to see, in conformity with the Open Public Meetings Law and General Municipal Law. The bids were opened, and the various winners of the bids were the lowest responsible bidder pursuant to a fee schedule. They're not literally listed out here, but they are available, and they were done, as I said, in public, consistent with the Open Public Meetings Law.
Nope. So this is the Herald that's getting this contract, correct? And they will be taking care of all the town's printing of mailings?
I'm sorry, say that again?
This is the Herald, correct? Record? So they will be handling, and they've received the contract to do all of the town's mailings.
You're referring to which number again?
This is number 44.
Again, as indicated, I'm looking at number 44, and I see a number of bidders, numbered 1 through 6, each of which won the bid as per the fee schedule that they proposed the lowest responsible bid for. So
It's possible that I might have the wrong number, but I'm speaking specifically on the contract and agreement with Redmond newspapers to handle the town's mailers.
It is 44.
It is 44?
Yep. Run the clock.
So by 44, we've been awarded to a company called Richter Printing LLC.
Oh, I see, that was number 5. Richter Printing LLC is one of the 5 companies that was awarded a bid, and again, it's pursuant to a fee schedule per item. They would have won the bid when it was opened in public. Their numbers would have been shown to all the other bidders and any member of the public who was present.
How did we know?
Wherever they were the lowest bidder for that item, it would have been awarded to them.
And will the town continue to do in-house printing of mailers?
Well, you keep referring to it as an in-house printer. There is in-house printing that is done, but in-house printing can't take care of all of the needs of the town of Hempstead for the printing for everything that needs to be done by a municipality with nearly 800,000 people in it and a government of this size. So there is a need for outside vendors to provide printing.
Item number 102. I noticed that there is another promotion at the animal shelter. At the same time, the animal shelter employees constantly are expressing the lack of and shortage of employees. I mean, we have a $4.5 million animal shelter budget. This is the shelter director's responsibility, as well as the commissioner's responsibility, to make sure that building is fully staffed, and it's not. And this could be why. This is where all of the $4.5 million is coming from.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Madden. I don't have any other slips. Does anybody else in the public wish to be heard the administrative calendar today? Okay, great. If you go to the back area and give your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Well, Supervisor, as before, I'm going to spray this mic because I see nobody's cleaning it. The lights off. And today's positivity rate is 3.9% in Nassau County. I spoke about this last time. You know, as the largest township in the country, to set a better example, it seems that all the guidelines have been thrown away. I am vaccinated, but I wear my mask for myself as well as 7 others. 20. My question is, what permit has been submitted for Uniondale or parade?
Yeah. Now, what specifically is your question about the parade?
I'm questioning what sort of permit was submitted on behalf of Uniondale. Was it a parade? Was it an event?
There's a thought it could be for the homecoming, but we can find out and let you know.
Yes, and I would like to find out also, please let me know. I mean, every time I come here, you say you let me know. No one ever gets back to me. Maybe you can let me know before the meeting is over. I would appreciate that. And I would like to know, are there any permits in process or an application process for Uniondale September, October, November timeframe? Thank you.
Ms. Jacobs, I'll let you know before the end of the meeting.
But thank you, Madam Clerk.
Okay, I don't have any other slips. Anybody else in the public wish to be heard in the administrative calendar? Great, if you give your name and address when you go up to the podium, that'd be awesome. Morning.
Good morning, Supervisor and town people. Case number 19246, item 21, clarification of the bond resolution, authorization of insurance of $26,031,844 series bond to finance said appropriation, what was said appropriations.
You said number 19?
No, item 21, the case number 19246.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I understand the question. You're asking for a clarification regarding items 19 through...
No, the case number
is 19246. Is
that's correct.
One on the calendar.
Number 21. I just want clarification of to finance said appropriation, what appropriation, or application, sorry.
21 being the bond resolution?
Yes, that's what it says.
This involved litigation which challenged the assessment of taxes, ad valorem taxes, that were levied against various utilities. The litigation went to court. There was a settlement. It involved both Nassau County as well as the town of Hempstead and other municipalities. The result of the settlement was that there would be a refund to the utilities of certain amounts of money. That also involved the county. The county itself has what you probably have heard of as the county guarantee. The county guarantee was also implicated in that matter. And there was a global settlement that was reached, I should say instead of global, a settlement among all the parties in which a refund would be given. The town would bear a portion of that cost, the county would bear a portion of that cost, and the utility accepted, I would refer to it as a lesser amount than it might ordinarily in order to save its litigation costs as well as the time involved.
So what you're saying, sir, council, is that when you P-span rising in a corporation, they were being overtaxed or undertaxed or assessment?
They challenged their taxes. The assessment itself is done by the county of Nassau, not by the town of Hempstead. So they brought forth their challenge, and again, this is the result of the settlement. Our share of it is the amount that is now being bonded.
So that 26 million, that's the county, the town has to pay them, or we will receive that?
I beg your pardon?
Is that the amount that the town has to pay, or that's what we will receive? The town Hempstead is going to receive the 26 million?
Well, the town of Hempstead had already received a substantial amount of money from levying this tax in the first place. So again, we're giving a portion of it back as part of the overall settlement.
Now, the town will get the money back from the utilities, but the end of the taxpayers kind of credit refund also from the settlement, or is it just strictly for the town?
I'm sorry, please repeat that.
I think if Joe, if I'm correct, we're not getting the money.
No, we are receiving this money. As part of the settlement, they challenged their assessment. They challenged the amount of the assessment. They challenged the assessment, the ad valorem tax that the town of Hempstead itself levied against the utilities. They brought it to an actual lawsuit that involved the county as well as the town. And if you think of it as the utilities as one group of party, the county of Nassau as another party, and the town of Hempstead as a third party, there was an overall settlement in which the town agreed to return this amount of money to the utilities based upon their challenge.
I thank you for clarification, because when I saw the amount, I was wondering if the taxpayer was in the loop of getting anything from it, but if the town is returning it to them, that's better. Thank you for that. James B. Jacobs, Uniondale, 568 Ashcourt. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other member of the public wish to be heard? Okay, may I please have a motion? Oh, I'm sorry, hey, how are you? Go ahead, you jump up to the back mic there, that'd be great. How you doing? Morning. Name and address of the record, please?
Dominican Califano.
Okay.
I was here at the last town of Hempstead meeting. It's very disturbing that I have spoke to, there's construction going on 8 Carolina and Long Beach Road.
Is this regarding the administrative calendar?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're doing the
Public
administrative.
hearing,
No,
sorry.
that's okay. No, it's just the administrative. We're gonna call the public secretary. Don't worry about it. Anybody else wish to be heard on the administrative calendar? Okay, may I have a motion on the administrative calendar, or?
Okay, before we do that, just for the record, from Ms. Jacobs, the Uniondale Parade, it actually, the permit that she was looking for, it's actually the Long Island Marathon.
Oh.
And it will be on September 19th. I will get her any other parade. Oh, there you are, I couldn't see you. I have a resolution for you, but it's a Long Island Marathon.
Okay, and if you give me information if there are any going forward, there are.
Yes, that's what I'm checking on right now.
Okay, great. All right. May I have a motion on the administrative calendar?
Okay, I moved the administrative calendar. Now, we have 11 to 14 that was on the other agenda, right? Okay, I move this in entirety.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Bazita.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Guzman.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye. Okay, now that the formal town board meeting has been adjourned, the town will remain to listen to the comments of the supervisor. I make a motion to adjourn.
Oh,
Okay, we'll make that motion first then.
I'm gonna stay with all of you.
You have a second?
Yeah.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman. Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Bazita.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Guzman. Councilman Muscarella.
Aye. Okay, now that you made your motion, now we're going to stick around to listen to some of the residents' comments. I have a couple of sheets in here. I'm going to start with Denny from Uniondale. And I didn't know if it was Raise or Rizzy. Raz?
And while this gentleman is walking, we'll complete the loop. Ms. Jacobs, there are no other parade permits for Uniondale for September, October, or November pending.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Give your name and address to the record. How you doing?
My name is Raz Denny, 1107 Braxton Street, Uniondale. I've been a resident there for about 36 years, and I just want to say, good morning to you, Mr. Clavin, and the board members. And the reason I'm here, I'm basically talking to you in reference to an issue that's been going on for 10 plus years. And that concerns the rental of single-family homes in Uniondale to college students. And I'm basically representing the concerns of many taxpayers. I would like to bring to your attention a very serious issue that affects the quality of life of the taxpayers of Uniondale and the surrounding towns of Roosevelt, Hempstead. The issue that has been progressively getting worse over many years concerns the occupancy of college students in many single-family homes. These homes are bought by individuals who have no interest in living in the houses, but are clearly bent on making a quick profit at the expense of our neighborhoods. As a result of these rentals, an element of undesirable behavior is being brought into our communities. The first element is overcrowding. The average single-family home has 3 bedrooms. The unscrupulous owners will double the occupancy collected from each individual a fee, usually about $1,000 per person. Most of these rentals have occupants who have a car, with several of these rentals on the block. The parking spaces for the taxpayer become non-existent or severely limited. Frequent visitation by fellow students on most occasions, causing loud, disruptive behavior that spills into the street. Multiple incidents of garbage generated by the students who live there, and their visitors being thrown into the streets, causing litter to pile up. The students who live at these residences, most of them have no routine for putting out garbage for twice weekly collection. I have personally seen these weeks of garbage accumulations left on the side of the house of 1100 Braxton Street. This resulted in having to call the town of Hempstead Sanitation, which resolved the issues on several occasions. With the presence of these unconcerned renters, they provide a haven for multiple strangers who frequent our neighborhoods. They start up and race their cars up and down the streets, causing unsafe situations. I've spoken to numerous residents about the situation. They have agreed that this is an unacceptable situation that is occurring year after year. The situation can be easily resolved. May I finish with that?
What I'll say is, you're right. Hofstra has a new president. She just took over last month. If you can stick around, Danny, if you raise your hand. That's my building department commissioner. He's going to stick around and take the addresses. But I'd like to, the president was nice enough to reach out to me just yesterday to get together. What I'd like to do is when I meet with her is, follow up and recommend she sit down with you, maybe a couple of the other neighbors who live around there to really, to you know what, new president, let's get a new message. You know, this is a residential community. Let's do it the right way. But I'm hoping if you got a couple minutes right now, you can go to the back and Dan, you can get these addresses and follow up on the complaints. Also, with regards to sanitation, that if, you know what, if the garbage is piling up and you got to send some guys down to write tickets to send these absentee landlords a message as well. I'm happy to. All right, right here you go. So he's going to go in the back of the room and talk to you right now. All right.
Can I just recommend one thing?
We have to keep the three people yell at us when we don't. But he's going to stick around and talk to you in the back. And like I said, it is funny you bring it today because, like I said, she reached out to me yesterday, and I'll bring it to the president's attention. I feel like that.
I'll continue next month.
You got it. Next, I have Bonnie Jerome.
Okay, first, just real quick, I also noticed that there are no COVID precautions being taken at this meeting, which is fine. You know, if we want a mask, we'll mask. But I hope this means that the rest of the town is equally open, no appointments necessary any longer, animal shelter open, because if it's safe for us all to be here, then it's safe for everybody to be in every other town facility. Going back to my questions about Pioneer, I wonder how many children are expected to attend each of these sessions. I noticed there were 5. I don't know how these communities were chosen. They're in Seaford, East Meadow, Oceanside, Merrick, and Elmont. Out of all the many parks we have in this town, I don't know how those 5 were chosen, but I know you won't answer any questions during public comment, so I won't specifically ask you. Not that you answer questions during other sessions either. So they're paying us $1,600. It's a total $8,000 fee, so for each of these 5, they're paying us $1,600. The advertised cost is $60 per child, which honestly, so many people in our town can't afford that, especially if they have more than one child. I know, Mr. Clavin, you laughed about that you'd be paying. Well, you can probably afford to pay.
That actually, you don't know my financial condition, and trust me when I say that's not just quite the face. So please, appreciate it.
Okay, well, I believe that
you should never assume things.
It's really not very sensitive to the many people in this town that can't pay $60 per child to attend a 2-hour session, especially when that session is being conducted by a for-profit company that didn't win a bid, didn't have to respond to any requests for proposals, but just indicated, quoting this, they expressed a desire. And I really wondered to whom they expressed that desire. And suddenly, they are making money off our Hempstead taxpayers who are being led to believe that this is a town activity. And I really would like to know, if anyone would condescend to tell me, was this a mailer in addition to the fact that you are for free advertising this for-profit company on Facebook, on Twitter, and you're saying that the town of Hempstead is presenting this. The town of Hempstead isn't presenting this. The town of Hempstead is renting the space.
Do you want an answer?
Go ahead, yes, thank you.
Okay, so we have vendors all the time who have professional skills to teach our young people to play skilled sports or other types of activities, whether it be lacrosse, baseball, football. I'm sure you must have opposed the county executive's proposal to tax Little Leagues to use county ball fields.
Oh, come on, Nick. I'm not talking about politics here, Mr. Blake. We know you're running against the county executive, but don't waste our time trying to make a political speech here. I'm asking about this town renting to a for-profit company which will make a profit off our tax-paying parents, and you're leading them to believe that this is a town activity. And please, don't make your political speeches someplace else, Mr. Blake.
Darrell Godfrey, please. Thank you. Darrell Godfrey? Okay. Next I have Pearl Jacobs. Oh, no, sorry. Is it in the back? Thanks. Get after. Good morning, Mr. Godfrey, and thank you again for bringing it to your attention. So, you know what? We appreciate you letting us know.
Time out. Excuse me.
No. thank you for bringing it to our attention last meeting, so we made sure we had the translator here, so good to see you.
Thank you very much for allowing me to speak again, and thank you for continuing my translator. What I wanted to ask you, from the last meeting, the last time, August 3rd, we talked about 62 Alhambra Road. I got in contact with a couple of inspectors, the commissioner, and Goose's office. Everybody been working diligently on it, trying to resolve that matter. It's still not resolved, but it needs a lot of work done, and it should have never got to this point. I truly don't understand how it got to this point. 11 years of somebody, of squatters living in a house and having a mechanic operating a mechanic shop in the house in a residential area. It's just unbelievable. And then now I'm trying to get in contact with the county along with Goosey and the State Department about the oil and everything on that matter. One thing I did notice during this whole thing is that Roosevelt, Baldwin, we do not have a sanitation enforcer. Can you answer that? Can I ask you why we don't have one? Every other town.
I believe Baldwin has its own sanitary district that do they cover parts of Uniondale? So Baldwin has its own sanitary pickup. Sanitation number 2.
Well, we don't have an enforcer.
You'd have to bring that up with sanitary district number 2 for the Baldwin area. We don't, they're their own entity, we don't control them. But if you'd like, we can reach out to the commissioner and maybe share your information to do a follow-up communication with you. Yeah. John Conroy is, look down here right, is John Conroy right there. He's our sanitary district, he's our sanitary commissioner. He can get your information and pass it along to the commissioners in San Diego to follow up with you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I got one more thing too. We also have abandoned buildings that has graffiti on it. Some of the stuff, how do we contact people to get some of these graffiti off in the neighborhood? We got graffiti all over the place. And they got them on our signs, they got them on our building, abandoned building, and you get up the parkway and you can see, or get onto the parkway, you can see one on an abandoned building that's been there for years. And it's graffiti on it. It's wondering if somebody can guide me and give me that type of information so I can try to stop that or get rid of that.
Would you like to give us some of those addresses, please? If you give us the addresses.
Yeah, the first one is
Yes, we have to have someone write it down, so somebody go back there with him, please.
Go up there and get it.
Teresa, would you go back there with him so he can give you his addresses? Okay.
Councilwoman Gooseby is asking Teresa from her office to sit down with you in the back and take down those addresses where you identified graffiti, if that's okay with you. Okay? Thank you. Teresa, if you could raise your hand so we can, that's Teresa.
Also, just like I said, I want to continue on 62 Alhambra Road so we can, it's a danger to our community and we need help. We're trying to close that house down and get people who want to buy that house and actually live in that house.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And like I said, Teresa's going to go in the back with you right now and take those addresses, the graffiti area.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you. Next, I have Pearl Jacobs.
The Arterial project of Uniondale. It appears that these quality of life issues, graffiti, abandoned homes, squatters, they all resonate pretty much in Councilmanic District 1. A quality of life task force has been established in the town of Oyster Bay. Maybe you could take that into consideration because the town of Hempstead desperately needs a quality of life task force.
I think we have to disagree with you on that.
Well, we can always disagree. I'm not going to argue that. I'm going to move forward. It's nothing to say, but I live in Uniondale. That's why I'm here every month fighting for Uniondale, all across Uniondale, fighting for Uniondale. Roosevelt, Uniondale, Lakeview, same thing.
No, it's not. They're not all in my district. It's all over the town.
Yes, it is. I have a question. Litter signs. How do we get litter signs placed? Can you stop the clock as I ask the question, please?
When you say litter sign, what is
well, we
exactly?
need litter signs. There's a street on Armand Street in Uniondale. The resident called me, she asked me, can she have litter signs placed on the side of her property?
If you'd love to follow up with the communication, I guess from the civic group, we'll follow up on it. That'd be great.
Okay, now who do I follow up with? Because do I follow up with
You can send it to the council. You can send it to the councilwoman, and you can CC me.
I definitely CC you.
Thank you.
Okay, and so I want to go on to say that Supervisor Clavin and Councilwoman Goolsby on February 24th, 2021, you met with a 7-year-old girl on Green Grove Avenue in Uniondale. The media was also present at this meeting. The young girl wrote a letter to the town of Hempstead expressing her concern for her community safety due to speeding cars on her street. In her letter, she informed the town of Hempstead that children could not play on her street and that she was afraid that children could be hurt by these cars speeding on her street. The town of Hempstead placed a Children at Play sign on Green Grove Avenue. You, Supervisor Clavin and Councilwoman Goolsby, took a picture in front of the sign and made a statement to the media expressing the town of Hempstead's concern for children's safety. Have either of you followed up with the young community advocates since February 24th to inquire if the Children at Play signage has been effective in reducing speeding on Green Grove Avenue? Have you followed up with that young lady, 7-year-old, since February 21st?
No, I did not call a 7-year-old girl.
Well, I did. I followed with her mother, and there's still speeding occurring on that street. Maybe perhaps I have here a mailer. The Clavin Goolsby LED stop sign program. The officials are deploying hyper-visible stop signs that are illuminated with flashing LED lights at targeted crosswalks and intersections. Perhaps the Clavin Goolsby stop sign program would possibly be a more effective deterrent in helping to address the excessive speeding on Green Grove Avenue and other dangerous crosswalks and intersections in the Uniondale community. And can you provide the locations of where these LED stop signs are currently located within the town of Hempstead? And are any of these stop signs located in Uniondale, Roosevelt, or Lakeview?
Thank you, Ms. David.
Can I have that?
Councilwoman, isn't that the girl who sent the cute letter with all the stickers when we did the sound? Yeah,
She can contact us and we have it framed.
Yeah, she's great. If you'd like to talk about the location, again, it's very simple. Maybe you or on behalf of the Civic Association, if you send a communication to the councilwoman and then see me, we can follow up on that.
Can you answer my question?
I appreciate it.
Are any of these LED stop signs located?
Next, I'm going to call James Jacobs.
If not,
James Jacobs from
they're not put in minority communities.
Mr. Jacobs, thank you if you've come out
My
there.
husband, he supports me, so you don't have to pull James on me.
Yeah, I'll yield my time to my wife.
No, Mr. Jacobs, I'm sorry, we don't yield time here. If you'd like to speak, please come on up to the mic, that'd be awesome.
James, would you like the LED stop signs for me?
Good morning. Good afternoon, I should say.
Good afternoon.
What happened, Mr. Supervisor and Senior Constable Goolsby, they want to go and send you another location in other zip codes. We see beautiful stop signs with LED lights on them, with the children at play at schools and so forth. Well, I want to go to Roosevelt, Lakeview, Hempstead, and other areas like that. I said, how come we don't have these kind of signs in our neighborhood? I pay taxes, I work every day. Just wondering, what do you have to do to get a type of sign that shows you care for your community? That's why my missus is so passionate, and I support what she does. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jacobs. Next, I have Marie Sherry from Elmwood. And good afternoon. If you give your name and address for the record, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Marie Cherry. My name is Marie Cherry. I'm from Elmwood, 12 Arcade Place, Elmwood, New York. I buy this property for $280,000 in March 2021. The taxes on this property is $38,000. I called the town, I reached out to Ms. Goody and the supervisor, and they tried to help me, but nothing happened yet. Someone did come in on April 1st to do an inspection from the tax assessment. And I said to them, why the tax is so high? They said it's because they have this property wrong classification. They have it as a commercial. And I said, since you know it's wrong, why you don't fix it? They said, we already do our budget. We calculated our budget, so therefore we cannot fix it until 2023. And I said, why I have to pay I pay taxes as a commercial when my property is owner occupied and is one family, and we guys have it as a full family. The town also had the taxes raised because they said it's a commercial. The previous owner told me he been fight since 2010 and they never had him until he lost the house. Since I'm a person with disability and I cannot afford the taxes, can the town be fair, get together with the tax assessment people and do it right? Right now it's very unfair, unjust, and no equal taxes. Why? My neighbor, the taxes is 11,000, and I'm paying 38,000. So I feel like something needs to be done.
Now, first off, it's appalling. Just so you know, prior to receiver of taxes, the National County Department of Assessments sets the values on everyone's property, and everybody knows the county's going through this reassessment where they've had thousands of errors, and yours is just another case. The fact that, and they're the only ones who control it, and they're the only ones who can change it. The town legally can't do anything unless the county does it. The fact that the county's acknowledged they misclassified your paper, they're telling you that they're not going to fix it for almost 2 years, and they're going to make you literally pay almost $20,000 plus in taxes you shouldn't be paying for the next few years, let alone if you could have that money, which means you could go into a tax arrears, is absolutely disgraceful. They should correct it, and frankly, if they come to the office and do their jobs in the assessment department, this has been a long-standing battle I've had with them, for decades. So I'm appalled with it. We're happy to follow up, but it's really on the county to do their job and fix the mistakes. And yours is an all too real story of how they've messed up people's properties and are facing massive, massive tax hikes, as well as the ability to actually stay in your house. So what we'll do is we will, reach out to the county and say, the fact that they actually identified and acknowledged to you that they're doing it wrong, and they're telling you you're going to have to wait for 2 years, that's not fair, that's not right, and frankly, it's unacceptable.
The other question I had is squatter. I have another property where been occupied by squatter, and if
even they know that a squatter take over the property, they still raise the taxes. And in the meantime, I have to pay their taxes, pay their mortgage, when the town is supposed to make sure those people go to shelter, not to a private resident. So that
This is your local councilman, Councilman Blakeman, and just so you know, the county isn't responsible for, again, the county is responsible for even addressing the squad. But Councilman Blakeman wants to speak to you and follow up with you, but I don't know what's to add something.
I totally can understand what you're saying, because all of us on the town board have heard from constituents about situations that are completely unjust with a new reassessment by the county.
Oh my God.
I'll give you a couple examples. There are mansions worth over $3 million in the county. Because of the county reassessment, those mansions are paying nothing in property tax while yours was raised. There are people who have the identical house to their neighbor. Identical house. One is $4,000 more than the other because of the reassessment. There is a woman who's in a circumstance like you are in. Her situation is as follows. They reassessed her house, and because she did a transfer of her property, kept her name on the deed to her daughter, so her daughter could also be on the deed, she got her exemption for veterans exemption. She got her taken away. She got her senior citizen exemption taken away. And when she called the county, they said, "We thought you were dead." There's another circumstance of another person who contacted me who had a situation where their taxes went up $15,000. When they called the county said, "Well, if you're unhappy, why don't you sell your house?" To which he said, "How can I sell my house when my taxes have gone up $15,000? Who would buy it?" So we've heard all of these stories. It's the county that did the reassessment. They didn't do a true reassessment. They used a formula and an algorithm that taxpayers had to sue the county to get that information. So we are continuing to speak out against that reassessment. We have no power to change it here on the town board, but we are behind you. We're with you 100%, and we will keep speaking out about that.
Ms. Sherry, let me introduce you to my secret weapon, Kathy Malone. Kathy, raise your hand. That's Kathy. Kathy's going to meet you in the back. She's going to get all your information. We'll follow. Like I said, I would love to tell you there was something you could do, and I'm appalled that they even acknowledged to you that they know that they made a mistake, and they're telling you, even though they made the mistake, they're saying it's on you to come up with literally $40,000 in the next few years, and then hopefully get your money back. We will do everything we can to champion you to have it fixed. I know, I get it. I know you're going to lose it. That's what I said. So Kathy's going to meet you in the back right now. Get all the information. I'll follow up, and we'll do anything we can do. Like I said, this has just been, this is what's transpired in this reassessment. So Kathy will meet you in the back right now. Not a problem at all. You take care. Nice seeing you. Next I have Felix Bercacci. Good afternoon, Ms. Bercacci. Your name and address for the record, please.
Felix Bercacci, Franklin Square. Was federal CARES money used to pay for the concerts and movies in 2020, summer 2020, July and August? Can you stop the clock, please?
That's it. Mr. Bercacci, you know the rules. We've been coming for almost 15 years as a public comment section, please.
Okay. Because the flyers here came in a FOIL request, and the flyers for those movies and concerts were paid for, according to the town, with COVID-19 money. And if Blakeman wants to make a political speech, well, he could do it now. He could propose that the town give back the $68 million in surplus back to the taxpayers, because he's running the county executive and he wants the county executive to do the same. Who's on the COVID-19 committee? Go ahead, make your speech.
Felix, you have a lot more credibility if you congratulate us for the AA rating we got from Standard.
Make your speech. Make your speech.
You like to talk about bonding. This is your opportunity.
Make your speech. Who is on the COVID-19 committee? Okay. Because one of the resolutions indicated that the COVID committee approved the expenditures for today. Does the town board plan on giving itself a raise in 2021 or 2022? Okay. Who's the chairman of the ethics board? I've been waiting for a FOIA request. I can't even get that in after 3 weeks. I can't get the name of the ethics board.
I'll give you that answer. His name is Dale Watson. I believe he was the one who wrote the letter to you, and he signed it as chairman.
No, he signed it as acting chairman.
So it says acting chairman on it?
Yes.
At this point, he's the chairman.
Okay, so who's the acting chairman?
Bill Watson.
And
we don't need an acting chairman if we have a chairman.
Okay, there's just one. Okay, I just want to make sure there's, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I wait. There's $979,000 in the COVID-19 resolution on January 4th, and according to your lawyer, they can't find any paperwork. And that, once again, that was a situation where the COVID-19 committee, it indicates the COVID-19 committee, with its due diligence, reviewed all the expenditures prior to proposing this resolution, yet they can't find any paperwork. I mean, maybe you want to advertise some of that. Also, I wanted to speak on the excavations, those resolutions. I think there's a lot of great ideas in those. I don't like you taxing the people, the utilities, only because they're going to just pass on the expense to us. But I had some work done that I've been complaining about for years on Renton Boulevard in Barnes, and the town had came and they fixed it and they fixed it, and the holes keep on opening up every few years. And then finally they did what it looked like a decent job, but apparently it wasn't, because it's all ripped up apart. They did, tar it and everything, but the utilities, to their credit, because I know a number of places, Tulip and New Hyde Park Road, which was done many years ago, they do an excellent job at repairing the streets compared to the town work. The town work is substandard, and you should apply some of these principles in those resolutions to town workers, not to the utilities only. Thank you.
Okay. Next I have Mara Jacklitz. Mara? Okay. Then I have Stu Kroll. Good afternoon. If you give your name and address for the record, please.
Stu Kroll, Great Neck. We are now past Labor Day, staring at an imminent election for several of you. As I expected, nothing has changed at the town shelter. We are still fixing cats at a fraction of total capacity. Whether the actual number be 60 cats a month or 120, it's just a fraction of what many private shelters are doing. And as an example of this, All About Cats in Freeport fixes approximately 250 cats a month. They have a clinic on site, as a matter of fact, tonight, and they don't have a $5.5 million annual budget. Fixing cats is virtually a contactless process. Therefore, it seems comical that we've yet to increase TNR back to where it was before COVID. Mr. Clayton, you took maskless photos before the advent of vaccines, had a fundraiser at 4 times the state limit. What then is the reason for this failure to bring this capacity back up to where it should be? I will venture a guess that whatever money is not spent somehow finds itself going into the black hole of the general fund. I want to briefly delve into the town shelter sending off adoptable cats to Good Shepherd Sanctuary in Maryland. I'm not certain how many cats are actually residing at the shelter. I was told there were 18 in the cattery, maybe there are 30 altogether. I wouldn't even venture really a guess. Many of the cats that were sent to Maryland in July were listed on the Adoptable page by the shelter. The shelter supposedly doesn't take in feral cats. So I don't know how feral cats were sent somewhere if you don't have any, and they're listed on the Adoptable page. Hempstead's had a regular pattern of sending cats to Good Shepherd every few months for quite some time now. I won't even focus on using a questionable funding source, the Tales of Hope Fund, which was designed for other purposes. We seem to have excess capacity. Why ship out any cats at all? Why not have a socializer work with these cats and turn them into adoptable cats if they are already so? Let us examine what type of place, we are sending these adoptable cats to live in. The intake fee in Maryland is $350 per cat. I think it is fair to assume that unless Bill Gates is supporting this facility, these cats are getting little to no medical care. According to a few neighbors, no local volunteers are allowed, which certainly you have to wonder why. The perimeter of the facility apparently is also not secure. Has this facility been inspected by the town, or do we just ship adoptable cats there because we want them gone and they want our money? Let us recall that our esteemed shelter director, Pastore, inspected the facility upstate, gave it a clean bill of health, but we all know what happened. The conditions were so heinous that our dogs had to endure that the Utica mayor was driven to tears, which you can check on YouTube. Our shelter employees have a relatively small number of cats. It is morally reprehensible that they are allowed to ship them off to a questionable facility rather than work with these cats to socialize them and find them homes. I'll briefly say one other thing. Stay-at-home mothers and disabled individuals have no voice and are being discriminated against, clearly. There are no emails that are allowed to be read into the record here. You cannot question your elected representatives unless you are here in person. I think they should all remember that on election day.
Thank you, Mr. Kroll. Thanks for visiting the town. Next, I'd like to bring up Diane Madden. Good afternoon, Ms. Madden. Name and address of the record, please.
I am at Hempstead. I don't know where Lakeland disappeared to, but I find it appalling that he continues to attack Bonnie Garone. He must forget that actually he works for her. When you talk and you have the dog and pony show about the county and the town and the taxes, let's never forget it was Magano and the Republican Party that put us in the hole we're in with taxes. I'm no fan of the Democratic Party, but let me tell you, I would not vote for another Republican in a county if my life depended on it. As far as the touchless toilets that Mr. Craven, you used to your advantage COVID funds to update all of the bathrooms. I recently, for a good celebratory reason, visited the formerly Winthrop Hospital. Throughout the hospital, who's obviously filled with experts and virologists, there are flush toilets. Regarding the animal shelter, a veterinarian who is a neighbor got in touch with me about the cats that you keep shipping out for tens of thousands of dollars. By the way, these cats at the shelter are dependent and used to living in homes. This sanctuary is not even supposed to take cats that are used to being fed. This veterinarian has stated, not only has she been for years urging the town and other rescue organizations to stop sending cats there. There are at least 500 cats or more. The fencing has about a foot that it doesn't come to the ground. The cats are exiting, they're getting hit by cars, they're getting trapped and killed by a neighbor who happens to have a chicken farm. This is not a safe place. You made a big stink to Laura Gillen, Supervisor Craven, about stopping sending our dogs at the time to Kim Strong and that the town should retrieve them. I'm asking you again to stop shipping these animals out and to keep your campaign promises to bring in experts to handle this properly, not inhumanely, as this current shelter director does. There is, by the way, no fire policy. What a shame that Felix Bercacci, among all of the lawsuits that are now filed against the animal shelter, include personal lawsuits, but that he had to discover after months of not getting a response, Miss Valerie, Mrs. Hepburn as well, there's no shelter policy, no fire policy at the animal shelter. Please don't leave Councilman D'Esposito. It's shameful, especially for you, that there's no fire policy at that animal shelter. By the way, Felix Bercacci is absolutely crushing the town with his lawsuit. Before all of that ink dries, I think there will be more lined up. And you talked and you bragged during your campaign, Supervisor, that you had no scandals. Well, let me tell you, these are all scandals. Every one of these lawsuits, whether they're personal, whether they're alleged sexual harassment from your family man of a commissioner,
Hey, thanks, Ms. Madden. Always a pleasure. I'm
Always a
going to
pleasure.
call up Maria Engel.
By the way, Ms. Madden, I never attacked Mr. Rum. Everybody here can testify to that. I just pointed out how ridiculous it is to tax Little Leagues, and we would never do that. We would never tax Little Leagues to use our parks. That was the proposal that the county had, and luckily that never happened because it was ridiculous. We would never do that.
So next I'm going to bring up Maria Engel. Thank you so much, Ms. Madden. Maria, are you here?
Always good to see you, Ms.
This is a dictator.
No, Ms. Madden, please. It's Ms. Engel's time. Thank you so much. Always nice to hear you. Please, if we get gentlemen.
Political song and dance.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. If you give your name and address for the record, please.
I'm Maria Miguel Oceanside. I'd like to talk about the habitual redactions of FOIL documents and also omissions related to FOIL. As I know, the purpose of FOIL is transparency and accountability of the government to the people who pay the government's bills, correct? Then under what exception does town of Hempstead routinely redact FOIL documents related to cats whose privacy rights they invoke, whose privacy rights is town of Hempstead protecting? With no legitimate exception, I ask that the town of Hempstead release unredacted FOIL documents, and specifically on two occasions, at the beginning of February 2020, the animal shelter violated its own policy. The exceptions are pickles. I'll give you the number, A437500615, and an anonymous cat, A437666787. The second cat has no identifier. ARN blank, chip blank, type blank, name blank, date of birth blank, current age blank, age group 1 to 6 years. No bite history, case number blank. How do you make a record of, the purpose of FOIL is to get information. When you see this kind of a document next to this other one on pickles, who has all the identifiers and the ARN, the chip number, you wonder, how can an entity like you claim that they are providing meaningful information? It's ridiculous, it's shameful, obviously to avoid the accountability. So through FOIL requests, I sought to obtain the policy of the town of Hempstead Animal Shelter on how long, and I would like to know, how long does the animal shelter keep an animal that was just brought in before it puts the animal up for adoption? What's the answer? What's the answer? Supposedly it's 5 days, but I don't see it anywhere, and I would like an answer to this question.
Don't hold your breath.
What? No answer? So you're saying that you have no legitimacy in putting up for adoption a cat after 5 days. So why did you do that? Okay, that's all.
Thank you, Ms. Engel. Have a great day. Next, I'm going to call Liz Schiff. Good afternoon. Please give your name and address for the record. Thank you.
My name is Liz Schiff. I live at 1 Murdoch Road, East Rockaway. Okay, I'm going to ask you a few questions, and I respectfully request a specific answer and not silence. Well, this is my first time here, so let's see what happens. I would like to know, in reference to the CARES Act, the monies that we received that were supposed to be distributed by 12/30/20. We request a full accounting. We would like to know where the monies went. Specifically, at this time, we're in September 21, so there should be no reason why you don't have the full accounting available for your constituents.
Actually, just so you know, we did them all in public hearings. It was actually acknowledged by the editorial and news that we did everything open and transparent.
Well, do you have a full printed accounting that we can look at?
As I said, all transactions were done at the board meeting and public hearing, and comments were made at those times. So
where can the public find those numbers?
JustTheFactsMedia.com.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, I would also like to know how the businesses were able to apply for the money from the CARES Act that was distributed to the town of Hempstead.
only one was allowed.
I believe that was the Dover group.
That's
And
correct.
why were they the only group, that business that was allowed to apply for money from the CARES Act?
That's correct.
Can you answer that question, please? I find
The Dover Group did not apply for CARES Act money, and
Yes, they
no CARES Act money was ever given to them. You may be confusing the fact that during the COVID pandemic in 2020, they suffered severe business losses, and although no CARES Act money was given to them, and other places gave a rent abatement, automatic rent abatement to businesses such as Dover. And in the town of Hempstead, we required them to prove that they had in fact suffered financial losses due to COVID, and then we gave them a credit for that. We didn't use CARES Act money.
No, I didn't say that you actually gave them, but how, from what I've been told and been told by people, that they were the only business that actually applied for the monies, and other businesses, there was no avenue for the other businesses to apply.
That's correct.
No businesses received any CARES Act money from the town of Hempstead, no for-profit business.
What wasn't the 133 million that town of Hempstead received supposed to be given to frontline workers, businesses that were struggling, and such? And so what were the numbers, and who were the people that were given the money?
Again, ma'am, as the supervisor said, even Newsday complimented the town of Hempstead on the methodology that we utilized. You can find that, you can find in the resolutions.
52 seconds.
Your time is up on speaking, I believe.
I believe that Newsday also reported that the town of Hempstead is under federal investigation for their use of CARES money. Will you confirm that, or is that false news?
I am unaware of any investigation by the federal government.
So you're saying that Newsday reported that incorrectly?
I'm not even aware of Newsday reporting it. I don't know where you got that from.
Newsday.
Thank you, but that was incorrect. But anyway, going forward, so are you saying that Mr. Blakeman said the person who needed the tax abatement should sue the should sue Nassau County to see the process of how they're doing their assessments? Should I now sue the town of Hempstead to find out what your processes are and who all this money went to?
That's right.
The end.
Okay, thank you. Just so you know, a couple of things. You know, we did give millions to Island Harps, Lawland Cares, the Inn. We gave millions to school districts. We gave millions to both the public and private universities, to the local hospitals. We actually gave millions of dollars to Nassau County for the IDA, where we actually gave out kits to all the small businesses and walked around with the county officials. Again, it was all public document. Everything was open and transparent, to the point, like I said, that Newsday wrote an editorial. So I don't know who perhaps gave the information, but clearly they were false. Next, I'm going to bring up Dominica Califano.
Dominica Califano, Island Park. I just spoke to the commissioner and deputy commissioner. I'm hoping we get it resolved. Have a great deal of concern of the road work that's being done on Carolina and Long Beach Road by Roadway Ahead and M&T Engineering that they claim they sub it out to. I'm hoping that they fix it, not saying that they're going to fix the road and then come back to see if it works and we'll put a patch job. I'm meeting the commissioner tomorrow morning at 7. I'm hoping we get this resolved. My biggest concern is that they left a handicap ramp that's slanted. You must be drunk to go on it. It's horrendous. The other thing is that I have concerns about is Rough House Rescue in Island Park. We discussed it last time. We have tons of animals coming into Island Park, very, very sick. She has no assembly license. She has no permits to be running an operation. And what I find very disturbing that the town of Hempstead and the county is not working with the fire marshal, that when they're in court in the town of Hempstead, the fire marshal is not there. The community has a great deal of concern. There's adoption events being done there in the middle of the street on Hempstead Boulevard. Someone is going to get killed, either the cat, the dog, or the people. It is bad. I'm not sure why this has been going on for over 4 years, from her prior place to this place. It is an absolute disgrace. The other thing is, Anthony D'Esposito has a very good friend employee, Matt Passion, in the village of Island Park. It is a disgrace that his employee driving by giving people the finger. His brother having a girlfriend in Oceanside in an illegal apartment. Anthony was aware of this and it continues to go on. The village of Island Park, money is missing from the books. It is absolutely disgusting that this village of Island Park is ran by Anthony D'Esposito and family. There is money missing. Our roads there are disgusting. Our piping, our flooding. They bought a bank for $1. There's millions of dollars that went into a new building they never even used, but no one can find any information out. I would like them to look into Matt Passion, Anthony D'Esposito's best friend, for harassment and letting illegal apartments in Oceanside basement apartments go. Someone is going to die in that apartment. Anthony has a beautiful office for his campaign in the village. Congratulations. I wish the money would go into the village in no one's pocket. Our village looks like doo-doo. And so is the town of Hempstead starting to. Our Long Beach Road in Oceanside is horrendous. There was another boat accident on the waters, Anthony. You promised to put 5 miles an hour speed limit there. We did not get that speed limit. Someone's going to get killed by the golf course on the waterways of Oceanside. It is so bad there to put the public at risk.
So just to let you know, first of all, Long Beach Road is a Nassau County road, maintained by Nassau County. We actually stepped up and put our people out there to pick up garbage along the county road.
There's no reason to pay another company in Oceanside, the Warriors, so everyone gets photo ops, for them to go around cleaning up.
I have no idea what that even means.
You have photo ops with them.
Okay, first of all, I'm not talking about the Oceanside Warriors. What I'm talking about is a group of Department of Sanitation workers who have been going out to our main thoroughfares and picking up garbage and cleaning up the street. It's actually not even...
Oceanside Park, where you had a meeting at, how disgusting and how embarrassing that park looks like. When you go, it looks like a homeless park.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Califano.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, I'm going to bring up Kelly Short. Good afternoon, Ms. Short. If you give your name and address for the record.
Kelly Stewart, Merrick, New York. I had heard about the Hofstra earlier when I was watching online. I feel it's passing the buck by the town, because if these are private, I understand their situation and I feel their pain with the students and the mess they're making. And I'm glad the president has a good relationship and the new one reaching out to you. But I feel like it's kind of passing the buck from the town to Hofstra, because my daughter's also a student there, so I can't wait to see the email we get. Also, regarding the shelter, with the Tales of Hope Fund, I had a personal conversation with Mr. Pastore a few months ago, where he told me specifically the Tales of Hope Fund is for medical issues, like oncologists or ophthalmologist specialists for the animals. That money should not be being used to send cats to a sanctuary. And he also explained that that money is not in a separate fund because it would cost more money to run a separate fund than where it is now, which I think is a very poor excuse. People want to, if that's a donation, then people want to know where their donation is specifically going, and it shouldn't be to send cats to a sanctuary. I think the town, I do not think you should have to fill out an adoption application just to go in and see a cat. They did say it's working well with appointments for adoptions, and I can see where that benefits. That is a good benefit, that they can allot the time they need for an adoption. I can't think of any other business that made appointments during COVID that is still doing appointments, except maybe the DMV, where they actually need appointments because they run so poorly. But things that you needed appointments for, I mean, I can go to Kohl's, I can go to BJ's, I can go to any grocery store, I don't need an appointment. I should be able to walk into the town of Hempstead shelter and look at animals without an appointment. And I really think TNR needs to resume to its prior schedule, prior to COVID, not one cat per person per week or per day. It's very ineffective to spaying and neutering large colonies. My other question is, I do believe Hofstra got CARES money. Were there any guidelines on what they had to do with that money? Or is there any place I can look to see if they got the CARES money? Were they allowed to do what they wanted with that money?
No, they weren't. There were certain requirements with the expenditures and the drawdown of it, and they knew that, and as well as all the institutions. There were certain requirements that we had that had to be, related to the pandemic.
Good to know. Is there someplace I can find that information? I looked on the federal government to find out CARES guidelines, but it was just kind of a tangled web.
The Treasury Department has a frequently asked questions guideline which would specify the proper uses of the funds. If you go to the United States Treasury, you'll be able to find that.
Does that differentiate CARES money from you guys, or because Hofstra got, right? $31 million in CARES money, and then is that in addition to what you gave them?
Yes. I can't speak for anything else that Hofstra got. I know that what we did with Hofstra, the community college, the Delphi MLI, all the institutions, both private. Yeah, I don't know what else they applied for, what else they got.
So would you be able to just maybe help me out with, does it matter who they got the CARES money from guidelines? They have to follow the same federal guidelines?
I would imagine that, I can't speak what they did with the money they received, if they did from another entity. I know we put forth the criteria in the review process with ours, and if you'd like to send a communication, you can send it to the town controller.
Just one quick word,
We're gonna jump to the next one. I gotta keep it 3 minutes, Kelly. Thank you very much. The last slip I have here is Marcia DiTieri. Good afternoon.
Marcia Gutierrez, Merrick, New York. They're not cleaning the mic anymore, huh? I guess not. Once again, I am asking if anything's going on with the Tree Preservation Act. I was told that something would be there in the near future, and that was last month.
Absolutely. Just had a conversation with the council handling and someone else, and we got feedback from the town board members, and when we feel comfortable presenting something, you'll see it on the calendar.
Also being concerned about tree preservation, I'm asking if less mailers be sent and use phone messaging and emails instead. Getting one every day is more than ever in my history of the town. The other thing I was concerned about is the animal shelter, asking when they will be back at full capacity. Do you have an answer for that?
Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Good afternoon, Town Board and Senior Councilwoman. In answer to your question, the Town of Hempstead Animal Shelter is open to pre-COVID times. We're accepting all animals, all cats for neuter and spay. We haven't turned anybody away. We're open completely. People are allowed to come into the animal shelter. I know Mr. Kroll actually walked through and other people walk through. We're open.
Okay.
One person.
If you have anything different, you let us know, and we'll investigate. But I'm.
One cat per person per week.
Thank you.
That's a lie. That's a lie. We're not accepting all animals. It's impossible for people to surrender their animals.
Helping constituents decrease the cat population. I just paid $160 helping someone spay one cat due to limited appointments at the shelter. And also, after hearing multiple people speaking about the sanctuary, please stop sending cats to that feral cat sanctuary. It's a death sentence. Please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't have any of the slips. Anybody else in the public wish to be heard? If not, have a wonderful afternoon, and please join us again this Saturday for the sunrise ceremony to commemorate the 20th anniversary of 9/11 and remember those we lost. Thank you all, and God bless.